right, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Gens Before Friends. Today we're going to talk about the Nicolas Cage survivor that's joined the ranks, as well as Onryo changes and a few map changes. Oh, well, I think it's 2, but we'll get there. And then there's also, we're going to cover some PTB stuff as well.
Woot woot.
So, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Same. It's hot, of course, here in Texas, which is never fun, but whatever. Just glad I have air conditioning. That's all I gotta say.
It's
Yeah,
only
just don't go
100,
outside.
only 105 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So I guess we'll just jump right into Nicolas Cage joining soon. He's in the PTB, which I don't know if it's still playable. I think it
Mm,
is.
Nope, ended today, I believe.
Okay, it ended today. Okay,
Which
I
is
wasn't sure.
7/10/2023.
All right, there you go. Good. Sorry. Well, he's finally here. He will be here on July 25th.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's bringing his power of acting to DBD. And his lore is actually not bad. I feel like it's pretty good. He's reading a script and he films the shoot and he accidentally summons the entity and that's how he gets stuck in the fog. So, I mean, that's interesting. I do like that they gave him
Mhm.
kind of a cool lore. But you're probably thinking, why is Nicolas Cage joining? Well, I did watch an interview with him at Summer Game Fest, which was this year, and he said that someone special in his family introduced him to the game, and he's a huge fan. And I'm pretty sure we're assuming it's his son. I think I've seen posts and people talking about the fact that his son plays and is such a huge fan of the game. He also said that it was a huge opportunity for him to branch out into the gaming space and find a new audience to interact with, which I thought was pretty cool. He mentioned Sadako's character being another influence, but did not say why. So that one was kind of a random throw in. um, yeah, so I guess thoughts on this? When I saw this, I think it was leaked, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
it was
trailer got
originally.
leaked.
That's right. With a bunch of other stuff, and I
Mhm.
thought, oh, this is fake. Like, there's no way this is real. But they confirmed it, and I was like, cool. But I don't know. I think that it kind of brings, I don't know, like a new life into the game or new things into the game, and like a new pathway forward for DBD. And I think that's kind of cool. I enjoyed playing him in PTB, and his voice lines made me crack up.
Oh yeah.
So what? How about you guys? What do you guys think about his announcement? And did you like playing him in the PTB? Did you want to go, Queen?
Sure. I just thought it was cool. I mean, I feel like Nick Cage has pretty much done everything under the sun. And him coming to DBD, I think will bring in the audience that really like him and his kind of quirky style and nature. Um, It was interesting just being surrounded by a bunch of Nick Cages because it's only one survivor. So there were a lot of arguments in the chat of who the real Nick Cage was. Um, but overall, I'm excited to see what happens when he actually like releases into the game, and I'm super excited to see cosmetics as well. Because from my understanding, his cosmetics are going to be things that he would naturally wear. So I'm excited to see what kind of cosmetics are going to come out for him.
Hmm.
What about you, Mocking?
So yeah, I really like the PTB. I thought the lore was really good. Actually, because it actually references the Send Beyond, which was the Blight chapter, the Blight and Felix
Hmm.
chapter, which I thought was interesting. Like that was the script he got. That's what it was called. And how
Hmm.
they're just kind of tying it into other previous chapters. So I thought that was really cool. I thought the lore was cool. And I am excited to see kind of what you talked about, Morbid, with like opening the doorway to like other celebrities coming in.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of excited to see what we get for cosmetics as well, because I feel like since this is just working with like a single actor. And of course, Nick Cage has like a whole like PR team and management team, of course. But like, I imagine for behavior to get like stuff pushed through is going to be a lot easier because they're just dealing with like
Mm-hmm.
one person rather than some of their other licenses, which, go through gaming studios or movie studios. So I'm excited to see, I guess, what Nick Cage naturally wears.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll even like come up with some just crazy
That's
cosmetics
what I'm
too,
hoping for. Yeah.
because they'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'll probably be like, sure, like, or maybe he'll have ideas for like some goofy ones. But yeah, it's exciting to see. And because I know when he was initially announced, some people were skeptical
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think a lot of people know, like, he's actually been in quite a few horror movies in the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
he was in Willy's Wonderland. There's Mom and Dad. Renfield is like a horror comedy, so I
Oh
feel like he
yeah.
definitely fits in the genre right now. And I am excited because I feel like I kind of grew up with Nicolas Cage movies.
Same.
Mhm.
To just to age us a bit, like Con Air,
Yeah.
Gone in
Yep.
60 Seconds, like
Uh-huh.
watched those all the time. So yeah, I'm
National
excited.
treasure.
Yes,
Oh
National
yeah.
Treasure. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So maybe they can get away with kind of putting in some movie cosmetics. I mean, that maybe look close. I don't know.
Mhm.
Just give him some long hair, for Con Air.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. So yeah, speaking of cosmetics, unfortunately, from what we've seen online, it seems like the devs confirmed that there won't be any licensed cosmetics, but people are speculating they could do non-licensed copies, maybe that like look similar. But then I think we're gonna, like Queen said, we're gonna get a lot of original stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There was a DVD leaker that posted a snapshot of Tome 16, and he's wearing like a red and leather, or it's a leather jacket with like red and leopard like print on it. And I guess he wore this outfit to one of his movie premieres. And so I think you're right on that. I think we're going to get a lot of his like wacky style, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool. Like I'm down for that.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, he officially releases on the 25th, and he will cost 500 Orc cells or 499 American. So
Nice.
it didn't say anything about shards, so I'm assuming he's just going to be a paid character.
Yeah, license is always orc
Mm-hmm.
cells
Or getting the
or
DLC.
or money. It's money
Mm-hmm.
basically. You can't use
Mm-hmm.
in-game currency.
Okay, true, because he's licensed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It activates when you're injured, and then you press your activity button while you're crouched, and you enter the dying state. But you leave no pools of blood, you make no noise, and you can fully recover from the dying state. And then once you do, you're fully healed instantly and gain 50% haste. It does deactivate if you recover by yourself by any means, and the perk reactivates when the exit gates are powered, which random. I don't know if he helped come up with these or if this was just something the devs did. But the other one is Scene Partner, and it activates when you're a killer's terror radius. When you look at the killer, you scream, and you see the killer's aura. There is a small chance that you'll scream again, giving you an additional 2 seconds of the killer's aura. Again, very random kind of perks, but whatever. Dramaturgy, which is one that I played, or I think a lot of us ran in the PTB. It activates when you're healthy, and while running, you press the activity button, and you literally run with your knees high for half a second, and then gain 25% haste. Then you're granted an unknown effect. You'll either be exposed for 12 seconds, gain 25% haste, scream, but nothing happens, or you gain a random rare item with random add-ons, but you drop the item they're holding at the time. I don't know if that's just like if you have a med kit or a toolbox. I don't know if that includes like the box for Pinhead or anything else. We
A
never tried
survivor
that.
item.
It's
Okay, that's what
yeah,
I thought. Okay, I just wasn't sure
whatever.
like whatever you're holding, if that's it. They're like, nope, goodbye, it's gone.
I think they fixed that because in the last patch or chapter, they did the different item
Oh,
types. So
right,
you have like
yeah.
the killer items and you have your
You
survivor
can,
items and then like
yeah, you can
your
carry
event
multiple.
items.
Okay, yeah. All right, cool. I just wasn't sure, but um, while you are playing this perk, the same effects don't happen twice in a row, but you will be exhausted, and then you'll have to recover. So yeah, these are kind of interesting perks. They seem pretty um, unique, I guess is the right word. What do you guys think about the perks? Playing them, do you think any of them are going to be useful? How about you, Mocking?
I think they're really fun. They're really out there. When I read them, I
Mhm.
was like, what the heck are these perks? Like, this doesn't make any
Mhm.
sense. The dramaturgy one, I think, is just fun because it's kind of a gamble.
Yeah.
And you're either going to get the haste or you could get exposed. And so it's just kind of fun um, perk, I think. I know a lot of people have been comparing it to Dead Hard, but being healthy, like to get distance.
Hmm.
But I think it's a good perk. I think it's a good like middle ground perk. It's not like OP or anything, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
Scene partner is the one I really don't like because you scream so much. And like in one match on PTV, I was on a gen and I wasn't being chased. Someone else was chasing like by me, and I screamed, and it counted as a missed skill check on the gen because
Oh
it made
no.
me get off the gen. I guess I don't know if it's supposed to do that or not. Um, Because I'm trying to think if other perks do that. Like if you scream, if it kicks you off the gen. It basically kicked me off the gen.
I
But
don't
I think a lot of people have already
think
found
so.
lots of uses for plot twists, which is the flip
Mhm.
Yeah.
flop power struggle strat. So while plot twist seemed like it was like really like you're gonna really use this, I think people are gonna use it. Like people have been using it to go down in pallets and then flip flop power struggle out of it. Or you can also use it to lose chase with the killer. If you have a good map where you can like just drop somewhere, like in a bush or somewhere,
Hmm.
you can lose chase. So I think they're really fun. I think they're really wacky, which is goes really well with Nicolas Cage. So
Yeah.
I am excited because I think this will bring some fun elements back to DVD.
Yeah.
What about you, Queen?
I think they're they're very Nicolas Cage. Like, what can I say? They're very like kind of meme perks.
Yeah,
I
for
think a
sure.
lot of people thought the PTB was a lot of fun, learning how to play them. I do agree that scene partner is my least favorite out of all of them, only because y- you cannot hide with that perk. Um, Once you're in the killer's terror radius and you see them, you're just gonna scream. So good luck hiding. I
Yeah.
know people have found benefit from it when looping,
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh,
you
okay.
you can see the aura of the killer. However, I think there are better perks than scene partner if that's how you tend to use it. Dramaturgy, I've seen some people pull some really cool plays um, with getting that haste and getting to window a palette or the double haste, or even just fun things happening if they do it, get the haste and then get exposed. Um, I've gotten really good items off of it. So overall, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's a good like mid-tier perk if you're just looking for a little fun, because it really is just a spin of the wheel with what you're gonna get. But that 2 seconds of haste can really help you get somewhere. So I've seen people do some really good looping. Plot twist is just a lot of fun. It's essentially, even if you don't pair it with other perks to do like a power struggle flip flop build, even if you just go off in a corner and just heal yourself, it's a free heal. And the good thing is that once the gates are powered, if you are in some type of injured state, you can heal yourself before again. So technically, you could probably get 2 heals off of it, as long as you make it to end game and the exit gates are powered. So I will say with plot twist though, killers have been running a lot of deer hunter. So I'm I'd be interested to see if dramaturgy and plot twists stick and become part of people's builds, what countering perks killers are going to be doing. But I think they're interesting, and I think it kind of livened everything up for the PTB, and a lot of people enjoyed it.
Yep. I agree. All right, so I found some random trivia, I guess, that I'll just throw in here. Like Mocking said earlier, the script that he's given is called Descend Beyond, and it refers to chapter 17, and it asks him to play Talbot Grimes and has him basically reenact the same circumstances that led to the blight being taken by the entity. And the director of the movie is Pauline Stamper, who's most likely related to Otto Stamper, who had mentored the Doctor at Leary's Memorial and was the leader of the cult located in the Withered Isle realm. So I think it's kind of cool that they like weaved him into the lore, and um, it definitely doesn't make it seem as random to me. It just gives him kind of a cool background. So for voice lines, he's the first and currently only survivor to speak actively during the trial. There are a few who talk, like when you're in the lobby. I know Ash is one. I think there
Resident
might
Evil
be
characters
all the
are
Resident
Resident
Evil characters.
Talita
Um,
and Renato.
Lolita and Renato.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he's the actual first one to speak during the trial. Not killer, but just survivor. Um, his voice overs or his voice lines are about 10 minutes long altogether. So he really kind of went all out on this recording, which I think is great. And then when you reach Prestige 100, you get to hear sounds of Nicolas Cage losing his ever loving mind. It's hilarious. I don't know if I'll
Mhm.
ever get there one day, but I listened to it on the wiki and it's pretty funny. Um, I found this random information. It was about one of his voice lines, and it's one of the downed ones when he gets downed by the killer. And he says, "It's times like these when I ask myself, what would Captain Nemo do?" And apparently, this is a reference to Captain Nemo from Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is a character Nicolas Cage said he would always love to play. And I thought, wow, like this is kind of I keep saying cool, but like it's cool that he weaved his personality into it, and it seems like he definitely um didn't like run things, but he had a voice. They gave him a voice, and they weren't just like, "Hey, we want to use your likeness," and that's it. So I think, yeah, overall, I'm like super pleased with this release, and I give them major kudos for just picking the coolest actor they could find. All
I
right,
agree.
so
He's
yeah,
pretty cool.
So yeah, for the third time, he'll be released on the 25th. So I can't wait till he's live in the game and we can try him out and see what happens. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it for the Nicolas Cage portion of the podcast today.
So it's time for me to take over.
Mhm.
Yes.
So the other big change happening is the Onryo is getting a rework. And so let's go through, I'll break down what's changing. So with the Onryo, aka Sadako from the Ring, she has her main power is projection, where she basically teleports to TVs. And right now, she can teleport to any on TV. There's no cooldown currently, so she can just zip across the map. But that is changing. So with the rework, she will have a cooldown for projecting to a TV. It's 15 seconds. And the condemn stacks are going to work differently. So currently in the game, when she projects to a TV, the nearby survivors get a condemned stack. But now what's going to happen with the change is whenever she projects to a TV, all survivors get 3/4 of a condemned stack. And it doesn't, so it's not just to the survivors in that location, it's going to be all survivors. And they're changing the cooldowns for the TV. So when a TV is disabled by the Onryo projecting, it's been reduced. The cooldown's reduced to 70 seconds for the TV to turn back on. TVs that are disabled by survivors, the TV, it'll take 90 seconds to turn back on. So it gives survivors more of an incentive to turn off the TVs. And like I said, the cooldown is 15 seconds. So it seems like what Behavior is doing with her projection is making it more consistent. So every time she teleports, she gets condemn on survivors, but there's a cooldown, so it's not the constant projecting everywhere across the map. The other thing that's changing is the curse tapes. Right now, basically, when you get the condemned stacks, you get a tape, and the game tells you which TV you have to take it to. It's usually probably one pretty far away, and you put the tape in that gets rid of your condemned. Now, with the curse tape, there are a lot of changes to it. If you are holding the curse tape and Sadako hits you, you will get a stack of condemn. When the survivor carrying a curse tape is hooked, all the survivors gain a stack of condemned, and the tape is destroyed. So they're no longer holding the tape when they get unhooked. Holding a curse tape does not passively build the condemn, which I think this is a great change.
Yep.
And curse tapes can now be placed in any TV other than the one they were retrieved from. And I want to talk about this last point because I recently had a game against a Sadako who basically camped the TV I had to put my tape in. So I basically got condemned because she wouldn't let me put the tape in. Like, she'd either teleport to it or she was demanifested and would just reappear, was camping the TV. So, but speaking of demanifestation, there are a couple changes to that as well. So the demanifestation is her ability where it's basically like Wraith, where it's like the uncloak and recloak, but it's called demanifesting, and then she can manifest. So when she's demanifested, she can't be stunned anymore. And when she is demanifested, she loses chase and loses bloodlust. So basically, it's like she's invisible. So if she's in chase, she's gonna have to be manifested. But I overall like these changes. I played her a bit in PTB, and it makes it so, yeah, her condemn's more consistent. But I found I also had to think about where I'm going to teleport to, because there is a cooldown on teleporting and the TV's turning back on. So it's like you want to teleport a lot, but you also have to be strategic a bit more, I feel like, with where you teleport to. You need to try to correct Ghastly where the survivors are at. So I know we did a custom where I did the Onyro. I don't know if you got Onyro in any other PTV matches, but what do y'all think of these changes? Let's start with Morbid.
I think, well, okay, so I think it's kind of good. I like some of the changes they've made. I don't go against her often since she came out, so some of these things I'm like, oh, cool, I have to see them in action. But I do think being more active with the tapes is kind of good. Because I remember, like, from playing against her, like, I never did anything with the videotapes ever, I don't think, unless I was trying to block a TV. But now you have to do the tape, otherwise you get cursed or something like that. And so I don't know, I feel like it's a good change. I don't know where they got all this feedback from. I never see anyone play her. So like 5 people who play Onryo were like, you should do these changes because we need them. Like,
well, okay, I can speak to that. It's because there's a play style with playing her where you can try to target a certain survivor and condemn them quickly and get them out of the game. So that's why they kind of changed it from being the nearby TV to being all survivors getting condemned, and it being a less condemned stat. Because people were getting targeted. And then like the story I just shared with like the camping the TV, like,
oh, true,
where like what was I gonna do? Like I either like chance go doing a gen, or I try to like wait her out and wait for her to eventually leave the TV. So it's because there's a certain play style of Onyro players out there that work to get survivors, like a certain survivor, condemned really fast and out of the game. So
I think that's good then. The changes will hopefully deter people from doing that. I mean, it's just bullying the survivors, really. But yeah, I mean, anything that'll help make the killer a better person, maybe. How about you, Queen? What do you think?
I think they're good positive changes. I feel like when the Onryo came out, her style really was kind of like a hit and run style, and
Mm,
basically how kind of like Mocking said, how they were using the condemned was they were just teleporting to TV, 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 and once someone got a stack, they knew someone was in that area, and then they
yeah.
could go try to find them. Um, I've seen a lot of Onryos that just all they did was just zip about the map until they got like everyone condemned, and then they would just go try to slug. I feel like this is a really good balance. Um, and I think it kind of makes it even with how, there's that small cooldown. But we also, if we disable the TVs, it's increased. I did find myself like when we were playing the uh, PTB and you were on Rio doing the tapes a little more often because it was so much easier to not have to run across the map to put a tape in, but I could kind of zip between one or two places where I knew they were.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought the cooldown was good because that was one thing about the Unreal that I don't like going against her now is the fact that she can kind of just zip around and show up anywhere. And I pretty much know the moment she came to where I was, and once I start to get those condemned stacks, it was gonna be a chase. But I like this better. Everyone gets it. You kind of don't
Hmm.
know if it's just you, because that was the other thing right now is you can watch like the little HUD, and if it's just you, you're like, ah, okay, it's me. But now it's like, is it me? Is it not me? And I think that's the whole point is you want to kind of be scared a little bit. Um, so I think it helps with that as well, which will um, probably make her less of a hit and run style killer and maybe adding on certain perks because I know she's got perks where she moves faster coming out of TV, where she's undetectable, I believe, coming out of
Hmm.
TV. So maybe even running more of like a stealth build for her. I think there's a lot of options now
Yeah.
that this is changing. And I feel like it's more balanced, which is what they should be trying to do across the board. So I'm excited to see what kind of new builds will come with the changes that they are going to be making and how that will impact the survivors as well. But overall, I think it's some positive changes. We're moving in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, and hopefully people will play her
Agreed.
more.
Hmm.
Because also going back to like the curse tape doesn't make you condemned anymore, so
Hmm.
there's more incentive like for survivors to take the tapes,
Yeah.
and not feel because that's what I always had anxiety. Like when I knew once I took the tape, like I
Hmm.
would start getting condemned, right? So I usually wouldn't take the tape until like I had to get rid of the condemned. It was basically like chancing getting caught with it, but now it doesn't build the condemn. You only get the condemn if she catches you with the tape.
Hmm.
So I think that's a good change. I think these are all great changes and hopefully make her more consistent with her power too.
Hmm.
So I personally like doing stealth builds on her already. When she first came
They're
out,
they're scary.
I was all about
Mm.
trying to gin grab people because
Hmm.
of the manifest power. Where it's kind of, but like unlike
Yeah.
Wraith, she doesn't have like a sound when she
Hmm.
um, manifests. So go for stealth builds, everyone. Have fun.
Yeah. She can be scary, tell you what. I think even now more, there's just greater opportunity for it. Especially with the chase and stuff. We had some matches we were playing against and chasing. I like the fact that you can't stun her, but I also like the fact that there's not going to be bloodlust on her end when she's demanifested, but it creates a whole new mind game.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think that's everything with Onryo. So let's talk about more
Other
PTB
changes.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
Woo woo. Yeah, we had some map
Yay.
changes. So Fractured Cowshed and Rancid Abattoir got some rebalancing. And we did have a thorough playthrough on both of them and took a look at some of the stuff. So supposedly these are, I guess, they were very survivor-sided maps. With one of the maps, I'm thinking it was Rancid Abattoir. The dev saying that essentially you could loop throughout the whole outside of the map, which I've never done before, ever. Um, we might have to see if we can do that now.
Map offering.
A map offering to see what they're talking about because it's something I never noticed. Um, but I think on I'm trying to figure out which map we pulled up. I think it was Rancid Abattoir, where right around main building, we were counting how many pallets there were. Like, you could just like continuously loop main building if you hit all the tiles outside it right. And then as you got further away from the main building, there were like these dinky little half wall tiles and a tile with two lockers and like some barrels. Um, I feel like maybe it's not as balanced as it should be. Because there was a lot of space where there was a lot of stuff grouped together, and then as you moved away, you hit like space where there was nothing. It could have just been the map that we loaded into, but I guess we'll have to see. But I didn't think it was very balanced. Um, I don't know what you guys thoughts. I know Mocking was counting how many.
I'll have to I need to remember put the video in the YouTube version. Yeah, because it was there. I can't remember which map was which, but yeah, the one with like the barn because they moved basically. I think that's Rancid Avatar, which has the gin in the like barn.
And then,
But
yeah,
they moved like the building up a little. It's not center, but it's kind of what they did the gas haven where they moved up the building a little bit, so you could put stuff behind and like blood lodge, like yeah. But yeah, there was just like there'd be a jungle gym in one corner, a jungle gym in another corner behind it, and then there were like 3 to 4 pallets in
the
between.
front. Yeah.
Plus the pallet that is usually by the building with like the trailer and a pallet like so it was just like you could depending on the killer you could like loop here forever. This is like if you don't drop the pallet immediately and you run around you get your max out of every loop, like you could be there forever. But yeah, then there were dead zones. And I'm not
Fractured Cowshed. I remember now.
Okay. But on both maps, they also seemed like they're doing some weird, like there's like more random barrels out, and then like they have like a half wall with the hook. It's like they took apart like some of the tiles and like just put them out there. And here's a hook here, and then like there'll be gens like out in the open. Which for some killers that's good, and other killers that's bad. Like you talk about stealthy killers, you want to have some gens in like a jungle gym or TL wall, right? So you can like sneak up and like not have line of sight. I don't like the changes. Just my opinion. I haven't liked, but to be fair, I haven't liked the new maps, the reworks of the Cold Wind maps from when they changed them. So I just may never be happy because I liked it when they were dark and scary.
Yeah.
And I really didn't feel like these needed a rework. I feel like most of the Cold Wind maps are pretty balanced. And I feel like a majority of the community thought so as well. Because I remember seeing when they announced this, people were like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were definitely a lot of streams I watched where people were like, oh, they should do this map. I hope it's this one. And then they announced it. Everybody's like, why'd you pick those? Like nobody wants those picks. So yeah. And it feels like I don't know, whoever did this layout is like, they played The Sims for the first time and they were like, oh, I'm just gonna put a bathroom here and like a kitchen here. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And yeah, when we were playing it on the custom match, it was like, why are these pallets here? I thought it was supposed to be more killer survivor, killer sided, and it was a lot of pallets.
It was.
But then there were like dead sections too, like on the
Yeah.
front part. Then it was
Where
like totally dead. So
super
it's
open and like nothing.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know. I guess when I think balanced, I feel like it should be not that you can't have a dead zone, but you shouldn't have like half the map be a dead zone and put like all the pallets in one area. That's kind of how it felt. And maybe it was just RNG, like it's randomly generated every time, so who knows? But we
Mhm.
got it generated like that in our match, which means it could potentially, spawn like that again.
I
So,
feel like it did because I was playing on it last night and I was on a gen that my only defense around me was like a riding lawnmower next to me. However, I hid behind the lawnmower and the dredge didn't find me,
yay.
What
making
OP.
it
more do
worse.
you want? But you got
Um,
a riding lawnmower.
yeah. But it was seriously just corn, a lawnmower, and like me, and the gen. It really did feel like that one half of the map had like nothing. So I guess we have to blame whatever survivor on Fractured Cowshed was able to loop the killer by running the whole outside. This is on you.
Yeah,
This is
This
why we
is
can't have
on
nice
you.
things.
your
Yeah, this is
fault.
why we can't have nice things. They even moved totems around. Totems were in some real weird spots. So when we talked about the hook that was on like this little dinky half wall, there was a totem there. They made like a little nook in this little wall for a totem.
Oh my gosh.
There were totems by barrels randomly. Um, there were some of the normal places like on the big tractors and stuff like that, but even the totem spots moved and I was running around like, why is there a totem here? I don't get this. It doesn't make sense. um Rancid Abattoir, that one, the building is a lot more interesting. There's more entries for the killer.
Mm-hmm.
um I think it's a lot less cluttered in the middle with the gen, a little more open space, which kind of makes it easier to run as well. Just be careful. There are places where you can get into where you can't get out.
Yeah, I get stuck.
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's going to make it a little bit easier to run the building. I didn't really see anything on that one. It really was just Fractured Cowshed where I was like, why is only everything on one half of the map? So God forbid you start over by Shack,
Right. Look,
basically.
sometimes you have a deadline and you only get half the work done and you just panic,
Yeah.
you know?
They only did half the
Um,
map.
I guess we'll see. We'll see as we get them and play them. Maybe we'll find we like them more. It just really had some really weird tiles that I was just like, why are there just two lockers out in the middle of nowhere? Um,
Yeah, that was odd too. There was like a wall
yeah,
with like just locker.
two
Yeah,
lockers.
it's kind of like the
Wasn't
same
even
hook
by
situation.
anything. Yeah.
But I will
Um,
agree, I did like the building better on
yes,
Fractured Cowshed. But I want to say it also had like the random barrels and stuff
it does.
outside. So building's better on there, but still, it's like they've included these weird, like just little half walls with random either a hook or a totem or sometimes a chest or some lockers. It's just really random. And I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't really think up maybe like a new
New
tile.
tile.
Because they've come up with some new tiles in the past with new maps, and so for them to just kind of break apart like a TL wall and be like, here we go, and it's not something you can loop. It's I don't know. It just doesn't serve a purpose, and
Mhm.
so from a design point, I feel like it's maybe I don't want to say lazy. It's just like a missed opportunity. It's not very creative, and yeah, I don't like it. Like, I haven't liked the maps for a while, but just putting, like, if they want to put some random barrels here and there, fine, but to just not make new loops and not have any pallets on parts like half the map. I don't know. I'm
It
not
makes it a
not a
lot
fan.
more open. Yeah. And just like don't get caught on those places too, because even like they
Oh.
have a little group of like barrels with a totem there. It was out in the middle of like nowhere. There was nothing around to cover or hide you, other than if you ever need to hide from the dredge, you go find that gin with the riding lawnmower and you just sit there and you'll be fine. But everything
Now every dredge will check behind the lawnmower.
the
When in
lawnmower.
doubt, run to the lawnmower.
Run to the lawnmower. That's all I'm saying. Don't run anywhere else. But those are pretty much the changes there for the maps. Again, we'll see how they play out. I'm thinking that I know it's RNG based, but having loaded into them a couple times and there being a lot of dead space, I'm hoping that they'll change that. But there were some other PTB features. So a big one being if someone DCs now, bots will be used in a match, and we did have that happen.
Yep.
That's true. I forgot
Where
about that.
yeah, where someone DC'd, we had a bot, and the bot was pretty good. It was actively working, healing people. I healed the bot, running the killer. We were watching the killer. We're getting pointers from the bot.
Didn't our
We
bot use
purposely, yeah.
plot twist? I feel like was it that match?
Yes, our bot used plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
It used the perks that it came in with.
Yeah, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, so the bots are getting better. So that'd be nice knowing that if, someone does DC, that we at least have someone else coming in that is a distraction for the killer, even if the killer doesn't necessarily go for them. But it works. So I'm glad that we were able to experience that. There were some add-ons, toolbox add-on updates. One being brand new part, which is going to work a little differently. So the toolbox repair action is replaced with install brand new part. During the installation, you'll be faced with a difficult skill check. So just one difficult skill check where it used to be two. And upon succeeding the skill check, the generator's required charges are reduced by 10. So what actually happens is when you do it, at the very end of the repair bar, you'll see this little line come up, and it's kind of letting you know you need to repair to here. So the last little bit of the gen, once you hit the little line, it's done. And then the add-on is consumed after use. So I think it's nice to have that visual to see how far you need to go. And we blew through some gens, bringing multiple parts. At first, we were like, "What's this weird line?" But I don't really have complaints with this. As someone who uses brand new parts a lot, I like to visually see how far I need to get in order to repair the gen. So do you guys have any thoughts about either the bots or the brand new part update? Anyone?
I
Maka?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, fine.
I like the brand new part change just because it takes it off the total gen.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think I don't really run brand new part now, but it's just using the brand new part like makes the gen jump up, right? In
Yeah, that's all it
progress.
does. Yeah.
So, at least in this case, with it taking it off the charges, even if the killer comes and kicks your gen, like you don't lose
Lose
it.
it.
You don't lose your progress basically. So I do like that. And the bot, we've talked about the bots a little bit before when they announced it, and I'm very happy because hopefully, at least it gives you a little bit of a chance to do more in the match. It's even though it's a bot, it's someone else that the killer has to chase and down and hook for them to win instead of just it being a DC and then it's like over. I feel when someone DCs, it's like the game's pretty much over. Like
Yeah.
every other people give up, and that's kind of it. So I am excited about the bots, and they said, I believe they mentioned in their developer update that they're still working on improving the AI for the bots. So hopefully the bots will just continue to get better and better, and DCs won't be that much of a big deal anymore.
Mhm.
What about you,
I
Morbid?
agree.
Yeah, I was going to say similar that I wasn't sure how it was going to work when it was announced during the anniversary stream. I was like, oh, are they going to do anything? Or are they just going to randomly just wander around? Because I think we did a custom and they kind of just did their own thing. But yeah, being able to see it live was really cool. Like it was pretty intuitive and all that. And like you said, hopefully it'll become smarter, I guess. The AI will learn more, which might be a bad thing, but who knows? The bots are going to take over the game. I
It's
don't
going to be the
know.
singularity chapter.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to release their own chapter because they're going to just take over the game. It's
It
fine.
it wasn't programmed to kill the crew, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. And
Ah.
like you said, I think it's great that now when somebody leaves or on purpose or whether they lose internet connection, whichever, the match isn't necessarily over because having someone DC is horrible. Like, yeah, the killer's like, oh, great, I only have to kill 3 people now. And I just feel like it goes downhill really fast. So, yeah, the
All
brand new
right.
part functionality was great. The line, again, was like, why is there a line on my thing? Is it like bugs? What is happening? But yeah, it was pretty cool. And I think it gives you a better visual of what you're doing. So, just to reiterate what you guys said. So, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, perks. There were a lot of perks that kind of got some updates on both sides, killer and survivor. I think we're just going to go over the ones that we felt like had the most impact or that we liked the most. But there were other ones that changed too. You can always, for those that are interested, go to the website and take a look at the patch notes, the 7.1.0, to get more info on that. But if we start with survivor perks first, since Morbid already mentioned, Prove Thyself did have some
Spoiler.
changes to it. So now Prove Thyself, for every other survivor working on a generator within a 4-meter range, you can gain either 6%, 8%, or 10% repair speed bonus, so that it did go down. And the same bonus is applied to all other survivors within range. And per usual, survivors can only be affected by one Prove Thyself effect at a time, but they also did get rid of the blood point bonus, which just line up with a lot of other books where they took off the blood point bonus as well. I know some people were kind of upset by that, but it makes sense with how they're going and doing that to other perks that they would take away from this one. And I don't think that that drop in repair speed is too much. It's still valuable. So I don't think that it's like a gone perk. Morbid, do you have thoughts on that?
I don't know, maybe. Okay. So I was when I saw that it was on there, I was like, no, please don't kill it because I run it all the time. And I just like the bonus it gives you when you're with another survivor on a gen. And I am sad that it went down, but I did play it in PTB and it didn't seem to affect it too much. So thankfully they didn't completely ruin it. I thought that's what they were going to do because they're like, oh, you love this perk, let me just go ahead and screw it up for you. um, yeah, so that's it seems like it's going to be okay to be used. And the blood point thing made me sad, but like you said, it's in line with what they were doing for all the other stuff. It seems like they're
Mhm.
removing a lot of the blood point bonuses that you get unless they put them on for like playing killer or survivor. So it is what it is, but other than that, I'm okay with it. So, how about you,
Mhm.
Mucking?
I kind of get why they probably nerfed it because there's a lot of
Mhm.
survivor perks that have to do with gen speed, like they just did the deja vu buff.
Yeah.
And so I've been running Prove Thyself and Deja Vu together in my matches. So it's just so
Exactly.
we can get out of matches, get to end game. But I know why they like we already said why they took out the blood point incentive. But I kind of disagree with them taking out the blood point incentive for other perks. They got rid of it for barbecue and chili, and I really wish they would have kept it for barbecue and chili because that was a good um anti-camping, kind of perk. Like
Mhm.
you get the blood points for hooking every survivor, so it's like an anti-tunneling, just targeting a certain survivor.
Mhm.
So I kind of wish they would have left it on for barbecue, but since they didn't, I understand what they're taking it. They're being consistent, and I get that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and I can understand with Prove Thyself, like you mentioned, like barbecue and chili. If they kept it on, it's an incentive to not tunnel. Prove Thyself essentially is an incentive to put yourself in areas where you group up, which is dangerous for survivors.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of killer perks where if there's 12 people on Jin, you can see them. So I could kind of see, since you're putting yourself out there more and it's a little bit dangerous, why maybe you could get the blood point incentive. But again, if they're going to take it off everything, you might as well take it off everything. But it just interesting thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blast Mine had an update too. We already love Blast Mine. It's one of my favorite perks. Um,
Yes.
We're
so for the
rejoicing over
new,
here.
I know we are. For the new Blast Mine, so Blast Mine activates after completing a total of 50% worth of repair progress on a generator. And after repairing your generator for at least 3 seconds, you can press the active ability button to install a trap, and it now stays on longer. So depending on how far you tiered it up, it is either 100, 110, or 120 seconds, where the trap will be on the gen, giving the killer more time to hit it, which is nice because you could essentially trap a gen and walk away and then have a lot of fun cackling off in a corner with killer.
We totally
When
don't
the
do that.
I do it all the
No,
time.
No.
that would be toxic. No.
It is one of my favorite things to do, and now I have a greater chance of it happening since it's on there longer. So I personally agree with the longer time that it's on there, as well. And then I'll come back to you guys to get your opinions, but also I figure I might as well just group it up with Wiretap,
Mm-hmm.
because Wiretap also is going to be on for longer. So Wiretap activates again after completing 50% worth of a gen. So they made the percentage for the gens equal on both of them, now. And after repairing it, you can press the activability button to install the trap, the spy trap. And that is now also going to be on there for either 100, 110, or 120 seconds, which is awesome if you're looping, especially on maps that have multiple floors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is a lot of data for a really long time. Um, and when the killer is in 14 meters of the generator, you see their aura. So I personally like these changes. These are perks that I do actively use, that I enjoy using. I pretty much, Blast Mine is pretty much my base kit, um, when I play. So I like these. So let's get your thoughts mocking on these two.
I'm so excited. I'm so
Yes.
glad they kind of put Blast Mine back. Not to where it was before they nerfed it, but
Hmm.
it stays on the gen longer, which is good. And so you like we use this perk a lot when we do the tome challenges where it's like you have to blind the killer, right? This counts
Fun.
as a
Yeah.
yeah, you have to stun or blind the killer. This counts for that. So if you don't run flashlights, this is like the perk to go to do those challenges or just to have fun. Um,
Hmm.
because it we do giggle when they kick the gen. And of course you're like, please kick the gen. You put it on, you're like, please, please kick it, please, please, please. So I am excited that they put Blast Mine in a better spot and that Wiretap also lasts longer.
Hmm.
I mean, the only downside with Wiretap is now, I think it was 33% you had to do of the
Yeah.
gen, but it was
It's
also a
50
short
now.
amount of time. So
Hmm.
it's just a trade off of more gen progress, but you get like 2 minutes of time. And yeah,
Hmm.
like looping. And I mean, if the counter for Wiretap obviously is if the killer can still kick it and get rid of it. So I think they're both in a good spot. So I'm excited to run these. I'm gonna run Blast
Hmm.
Mine again.
I love Blast Mine. Yeah. Morbid,
Yeah.
what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. I was saddened when they nerfed it because I was like, well, there goes my like base, one of my base perks that I played all the time, and I kind of got away from it. And I think this is a good compromise to be on there longer. Because, like you said, you can get chased, you can get, knocked down, and maybe they'll come back and then kick your gen. It makes you just even happier. So, yeah, I think that was a positive thing. Wiretap, I don't really play as often, but um, it seems like the same. It's longer, which I think is great. So yeah, I think overall they did a good like fix of things that they screwed up in the first place. Sorry, that's my
Yeah.
harsh take of the day.
Harsh take. But there were a lot of other Survivor perks that kind of got changed. Saboteur, Clairvoyance, Breakout, Buckle Up, uh, Smash Hit, Spine Chill, just to name a few. You can always check out in the notes. There are also some changes to a lot of killer perks. The two that we kind of want to mention are Coup de Grace and Claustrophobia. So for Coup, each time a generator is completed, Coup de Grace grows in power. You gain 2 tokens with a maximum of 5 tokens at one time, and you consume a token to increase the distance of your next lunge attack, either by 70, 75, or 80%. So basically, the killer can just reach out and hit you. um, and then claustrophobia was an interesting one. So every time a generator is completed, all windows and vault locations are blocked for all survivors for either the next 20, 25, or 30 seconds. From, if I understand correctly, it was just in a certain area range um, where it used to block. Now it blocks all over, and we have seen that when playing the PTB, it blocking all over. So if the killer switches to their chasing, or if you're in an area and they come up on you, and it's blocked, it's created some interesting moments um, for that as well. So what do you guys think of the killer perk changes? Mocking.
Well, I ran these two. I tried them out on PTV. So basically, Coup de Grace, it's basically the same. You just get 2 tokens instead of 1, which I
Yeah.
think makes it more impactful because, I mean, there's only 5 gens, right? So you would only get at most 5 tokens. And if you like miss the hit, even with the long lunge, or you get, pallet stunned when trying to use it, at least you still have another token you can use. So I'm sure this might incentivize some people to run it more often now. So I think it's a good change to the perk and will make it more useful. I did also run claustrophobia, and I think this is a good buff for it because it's kind of useless in the state it is in now, because I believe it only blocks the windows where the gen was done. And of course, more than likely, I mean, it depends on the killer and the perks are running, but if they're chasing someone else, they're getting no value out of this perk. Unless they're running something, I'm trying to think like Tinker or something, where they're going to go back to the gen right before it's done. Really, there's no reason for the killer to be there. So it being map wide for 30 seconds, I think is good. It's not too long. It's only 30 seconds at most. And what's also nice as killer is you see the aura of the vault locations that are blocked. So if you are chasing someone, well, they can't go to that window. It kind of gives you more of an idea of where to loop them or where to push them to get them down. So I think the claustrophobia change is good. I don't think it's going to be like ran a whole lot. I don't feel like it's overpowered or anything, but I think it's in a better spot than it is currently.
I agree. What about you, Morbid?
Well, I guess I don't really have too much of an opinion since I hardly ever play killer unless we're really just messing around in custom. But from what Mocking was saying, it seems like they were good changes, and hopefully they'll continue to make more changes if there's perks that need to kind of be boosted or something and are kind of useless maybe. I'm glad that they're noticing that and kind of changing it.
I agree. Yeah. There were some other killer perks that got changes. So Hangman's trick is now Scourge Hook Hangman's trick. There were changes to Territory Imperative, which is when you see people in their basement. I don't know who runs that. Changes to Remember Me, Hex Crowd Control, and Trail of Torment as well. And again, all those are changes are in the 7.1.0 patch notes as well. I think we've covered everything. So we're excited. I think all of us to see all this in game. Definitely to have Nicolas Cage in game. and play some more of him and his funny meme perks. That's it.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any final thoughts, opinions?
Excited to see the new cosmetics. So I think they're going to release a
Yeah,
couple cosmetics when he comes
excited.
out. I think is what I've
Yeah.
heard. Don't hold me to
Whoop,
that, but I think that's
whoop.
what I read. But yeah, I'm excited to see cosmetics for Nick Cage and all the Nick Cages and everyone falling down with with his perk. To
And running like knees to chest when they
oh,
activate. Yeah.
I wonder how
Yeah,
they
it's so
came up with
funny.
that.
Yeah, it's
I was
hilarious
trying
though.
to think of like his roles. And I was trying to be like, are any of them, do any of them is where he does that? And I couldn't think of anything. But I'm sure it has to be some kind of meme of something.
It
But
just
it's,
kind of reminds me of like if anyone's ever taken theater or some type of acting class, some
hmm
of the roles and stuff you do in there, and that's what all his perks remind me of. Is like if I was in a theater class, like some of the exercises and stuff you do. And so I think it's just a good nod to him being an actor.
yeah, just like an over exaggeration of
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, I agree. And then like the cosmetics I'm excited for. I feel like the sky's the limit with Nicolas Cage.
Hmm.
You could just go as crazy as you want. And I think having him in is gonna hopefully bring something new to the game. So
Yay.
Yep.
Well, I guess we can sign out now. So I am Queen MG and I'm with,
Mockingbird.
and Morbid Plum.
and we want to wish you a good morning, good afternoon, a good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.